Okay, let's dive in. Have you ever thought about how some places just feel layered, with history?
Absolutely. Like, you can peel back different eras, spiritual figures, big political shifts, how the administration
And
changed.
down to the specific food.
Yeah,
And all of it tells a story.
exactly. And today, we're focusing on one such place for you, Faridpur district in Bangladesh. We're going deep based on the materials we've got.
Right, we've gathered quite a bit, articles, video transcripts, different viewpoints, really.
Yeah, they cover a lot. The early geography, the rulers, how things changed over centuries, right up to modern Faridpur, its culture, notable spots.
And our goal here for you is to work through these sources. We want to pull out the really fascinating bits, the connections.
The things that make Faridpur, well, Faridpur, help you get why its story is interesting and why it matters.
So let's start at the very beginning, laying the foundation. What did this area look like in ancient times?
Well, the sources describe it as pretty dominated by water bodies,
Yeah.
lots of rivers, marshland, that kind of thing, and jungles too.
Okay, so beautiful maybe, but maybe not the easiest place to just settle.
That's the picture, yeah. Quite challenging for people initially. Hard to build communities, hard to farm extensively.
Right, so how did that change? Who started making it more livable?
The materials point to a ruler named Fath Ali. He was also known as Jalaluddin Fateh Shah,
Okay.
and he was the ruler of Lakhnawati. The sources really emphasize that he put in significant effort, like serious work, to make the region suitable for people.
And that effort was recognized, like in the name.
It was. The area was first called Fathabad, directly in his honor.
Ah, okay.
Then there's a bit more to it. Later on, another ruler, Alauddin Hussein Shah, came to power. And in 1493, he took an existing administrative area called the Daleshwari Pargana.
An old county or something.
Sort of, yeah. And he renamed that Fathabad, also after Fateh Shah. And he worked to develop this Fathabad into a major city in Bengal.
Interesting. So the name pops up again, tied to development.
Exactly. It underscores that effort to tame the landscape.
So we've got this early challenging landscape, rulers working on it, the name Fathabad. But the district today is Faridpur. Where does that name come from?
This is where a really significant spiritual layer comes in. It's key to the name. The district is named after Shah Farid.
Shah Farid. Tell us about him.
The sources describe him as a great ascetic, a dervish. Importantly, he was a disciple of a very famous Sufi saint, Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti of Ajmer Sharif in India.
Wow, so a direct connection to a major spiritual lineage. Where did he set up in this Fathabad region?
He established his chilla, this like a special place for spiritual practice, meditation, worship, right under a very old banyan tree.
Okay.
And this spot, the sources say, was near where the Faridpur Collectorate building is now.
Mm.
Back then, it was just open land under the tree, no buildings around.
So this tree became his focal point.
Pretty much. It was his base, his dargah, you could say. He held religious ceremonies there, Islamic gatherings, sessions for remembering God, zikir, azkar, and also sessions of devotional poetry, hamdan. He was spreading spiritual knowledge from that spot.
And there's a story connected to this place, right? Something about the Padma River.
Yes, a very powerful story in the sources. It recounts how the Padma River, which is known for being incredibly strong and causing erosion,
Right.
started cutting closer and closer to Shah Farid's chilla, right up near the dargah.
Right.
And people were really worried, distressed.
Understandably.
So thousands of people gathered there with Shah Farid.
And what happened?
According to these accounts, they prayed together, a collective prayer, and it was accepted.
Accepted how?
The Padma's powerful current actually subsided, and the river shifted its course, moved 7 or 8 kilometers away from the dargah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
quite a story. A divine intervention linked to the place.
It's central to the identity, and the connection to the name is direct. The town, Faridpur town as we know it, grew up right there at the foot of that dargah.
Ah, I see.
So, because of Shah Farid and this story, the district was named Faridpur in his honor.
The name is literally rooted in that spiritual event and figure. Is the original tree still there?
No, the old banyan tree is gone. But the place is marked now by a beautiful 3-story mosque, the Shah Farid Durga Mosque.
Okay.
And historians generally date the beginnings of Faridpur city as a settlement to the early 15th century, which fits right in with the time frame of Shah Farid.
That makes sense. From spiritual center to growing town.
Oh.
Okay, so with that foundation, let's move forward in time. What about bigger empires? The Mughals?
Right, the Mughals. Sources say their rule began in this area around 1666 AD.
And did they leave any visible marks?
Yes, actually. There's a victory pillar mentioned in Mathurapur, near Buzna. It's still standing, apparently, as a symbol of Mughal presence and power.
A physical reminder. Did the town itself develop under them?
It did. Chak Bazaar was established during the Mughal period, became the main business hub.
Chak Bazaar sounds like market circle or something?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
The sources even suggest the name Chak Bazaar itself might have Mughal origins, shows their influence on trade and city layout.
Were other groups building things around then too?
Seems so. Around 1760 A.D., the sources mention Hindu ashrams, monasteries, and temples being built in areas called Kabaspur and Ambikapur, so growing diversity.
And 1760. That's also around the time a new power starts making its presence felt, right? The British.
Exactly. British influence in Faridpur also dates from about 1760 A.D., and their initial impact, as highlighted in the sources, was pretty harsh on local farmers,
How so?
specifically forcing them into indigo cultivation.
Ah, indigo. That rings bells. Often led to exploitation and hardship under colonial rule.
Absolutely. And this pressure, this specific issue in Faridpur, is presented as a major reason for the rise of the Faridzi movement.
Okay, tell us about that.
It was led by Haji Shariatullah, and it became really strong in Faridpur district in the late 18th, early 19th centuries,
What were they pushing for?
advocating for the rights of farmers, laborers, the common people, directly pushing back against the oppression, including from the British and local landlords tied to things like indigo.
So it wasn't just some abstract movement, it was grounded in the local reality there.
Very much so, according to these sources. The local conditions fueled its strength in Faridpur.
Meanwhile, were the British building things too, leaving their own mark?
Yes, during that same late 18th, early 19th century period, they started constructing brick buildings, administrative structures in Faridpur town, designed in their own architectural style.
So you've got these layers building up spiritual roots, Mughal structures, local growth, British arrival, economic pain, a social resistance movement. When did Faridpur become like an official district?
That happened in 1807. It was formally separated from Dhaka Jalalpur and designated Faridpur district, and Faridpur town became the headquarters.
Okay, official status. How did the administration work then? Did it change over time?
It did. There were a few stages mentioned. In 1815, it got collectorate status, basically, a chief administrative and revenue officer supervised by an assistant collector.
Right.
Then, in 1833, they set up a more separate system for courts and revenue. A joint magistrate handled law and order, and a deputy collector handled the money side.
Seems more specialized.
It was, but that particular setup didn't last too long. It was abolished in 1859.
And then?
After 1859, things were consolidated under one main official, the district magistrate and collector, combining those roles.
Got it. And alongside these administrative changes were other parts of the town's infrastructure developing under British rule.
Definitely. The sources list several key developments showing the town growing more modern. The Faridpur municipality was set up in 1869, local government for the town. The court building went up in 1895. Transport got a boost with the Faridpur railway station in 1916.
Important connection.
Yeah. Then the Faridpur police line was established in 1940 on a pretty big plot, 25 acres. And a major market, As Market, which is now called Tidimir Bazaar, was set up centrally in 1963. So a steady buildup of civic structures.
That takes us right up near modern times. What about Faridpur's role during Bangladesh's struggle for independence?
It was significant. The sources state Faridpur saw intense fighting during the War of Liberation in 1971.
And at independence, it was quite a large administrative unit.
It was one of the 18 subdivisions of the new country.
But that changed later.
Yes, quite significantly. In 1984, President Hossein Mohammad Ershad reorganized things. That old, large Faridpur subdivision was broken up into 5 separate districts.
5. Which ones?
Faridpur itself, plus Rajbari, Gopalganj, Madaripur, and Shariatpur. So 1 became 5.
That's a major redrawing of the map. Any plans for further changes?
Well, more recently, in 2015, the government announced plans to create a larger administrative unit, again a Faridpur division, which would group several districts together, including today's Faridpur.
Interesting. Okay, looking at the map now, after those changes, where does the current Faridpur district sit?
It's in central Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Got Rajbari and Maniganj to the north,
Okay.
Lalon Magur to the west, Gopalganj to south, and then Dhaka, Munshiganj, and Madaripur over to the east.
Right in the mix. And how is the district itself organized internally? Local level stuff.
It's divided into 9 upazilas. Those are like sub-districts.
9 upazilas.
Within those, you've got 6 municipalities for the towns, which are further broken down into 36 wards, and 100 mahallas-like neighborhoods.
And for the rural areas?
There are 81 unions, and those encompass, wow, 1,899 villages altogether.
That's a lot of villages.
It is. And the district has 4 seats in the national parliament.
Can you list those 9 upazilas?
Sure. According to the sources, they are Faridpur Sadar, Madhukali, Bolmari, Alvadanga, Salta, Nagarkanda, Banga, Sadarpur, and Charbatrasan.
Got it. Thanks. And just to get a sense of its scale today, any key numbers, population, area?
Yeah, the sources give some stats referencing the 2022 census for population.
Right.
Area is 2072 square kilometers.
Okay.
Population is listed as 2,162,879.
So over 2 million people.
Right, which gives a population density of about 10,054 people per square kilometer. Literacy rate is noted around 71.99%.
Helpful numbers. And any modern infrastructure highlights mentioned?
Yes, the Banga Expressway, and especially its big roundabout, the Golchatar, are mentioned. The roundabout gets described as quite impressive, even comparing it to things you might see overseas.
So definitely signs of modern development alongside all that history.
Absolutely. It's that blend again.
Let's talk about the people and the culture. What's Faridpur known for in that sense? Its reputation.
The sources describe it as a place known for producing many awliyas, Sufi saints and dervishes, like Shah Farid we discussed, but also political figures and generally sort of virtuous or notable people.
Okay. Any specific famous names that come up, people who made Faridpur well known?
Oh, quite a few across different fields. There's Polikobi Jessimuddin, the famous rural poet.
Heard of
Haji Shariatullah, the Faridzi leader we mentioned.
Yeah.
Bir Shrishto Munshi Abdurruf, a major liberation war hero. Nawab Abdul Latif, known for education work.
That's already diverse. Any others?
Yeah, the list goes on. Shamsul Hoke Faridpuri, Ambikapur Majumdar,
No.
Abdul Hoke Faridi, Ali Hassan, Mohammed Mujahid, Mohammed Ibrahim, Alol, Kuti Mansur, Qazi Hussain, filmmaker Tarek Masood, poet Sukanta Bhattacharya, writer Mir Mosharraf Hussain, and the actor Riaz. It's a really notable group.
Truly. Across literature, politics, spirituality, arts, military heroism. Impressive. Now, you can't talk about a place without mentioning food. Any local specialties?
Definitely. The sources call out a few things. Kokamia's Rosagola, that's a sweet potato shop, sounds interesting. Shrimp malai curry and fish kebab.
Sounds good. Local flavors. And how big is Faridpur city itself compared to others in Bangladesh?
It's noted as the 14th largest city in the country.
Okay, 14th largest. Good to know. So we've covered history, admin, people, food. If someone were to visit, wanting to experience these layers, what are some key spots the sources point out?
There are several interesting ones. Polikobi Jasim Udin's house, for example. It's in Govindapur village near the Kumar River. They mention his old tin houses are still there.
A literary pilgrimage site? What about that Gurda Falak mentioned near there?
All right, that's in Gurda village. It's described as a special stone plaque, apparently with Arabic writing on it, set into the wall of the Gurda mosque, a specific historical artifact.
Interesting. Any other significant mosques?
Yes, Sadr Mosque in Bolomari Upazila. It's described as a 9-domed mosque from the Sultanate period, so quite old.
9 domes, wow.
And also Pathrail Mosque in Banga Upazila, another traditional structure.
What about natural features? Any rivers highlighted?
The Modamodi River gets a mention. It's an important river flowing not just through Faridpur, but several other districts too, part of the landscape's character.
Any older ruins like pre-Mughal or something?
Well, there's the Mathurapur Dual in Madhukali Upazila, described as a traditional archaeological structure.
Okay.
And also the Kanapur Zemindar House, or Siktar ruins. That connects to the era of powerful local landlords.
Right, the zamindars. And something more modern, maybe for families.
Yes, the Faridpur Pura Sheikh Russell Shishu Park. It's a children's park in the city, developed jointly by the municipality and another group. Covers about 14 acres.
So a real mix of sites, historical, spiritual, natural, cultural, even recreational. It really does reflect those layers we started with.
It absolutely does. You can literally see the imprint of the different eras and influences the spiritual heart, the administrative changes, the cultural figures, modern development.
Okay, let's try and wrap this deep dive up. We've traced a really fascinating path through Faridpur's story, from that challenging ancient landscape
to rulers like Fatholi making it habitable, and then the immense impact of Shah Farid, not just naming the place, but being linked to that incredible story about the river.
Then moving through the empire's Mughal presence, British arrival bringing both structures and hardship.
Which in turn sparked things like the Faridzi movement, a really significant local response.
Yeah.
We saw the district getting formally defined, then redefined.
Its role in 1971, the big administrative breakup in 84, and its current structure, even looking towards future divisional plans.
And we touched on the vibrant culture, all those famous names, plus the unique local food and the specific places you can actually visit that embody different parts of this history.
So reflecting on all this for you, our listener, what really jumps out? Was it the almost mythical story of Shah Farid and the river?
Or maybe the struggle and resilience shown in the Faridpur movement. Or perhaps just realizing how many well-known figures came from this one district.
For me, I think it's how tangled it all is. The spiritual figure, the river's course, the politics of indigo, the administrative boundaries, even the sweets. They're not separate tracks. They're all woven together.
Yeah, that interaction between the sacred, like the Dargah, and the secular political movements, administration seems constant throughout Faridpur's history. It really shapes the place's identity.
Which leaves us with something to think about. How does that incredibly rich, complex tapestry where faith, politics, economics, and even the land itself are so intertwined, how does that continue to shape Faridpur today?
And how might those deep historical currents influence its future, especially as it looks towards potential new administrative structures and ongoing development? Something to ponder.